All right, you guys. So I'm jumping on right quick to do a No Cap Sunday update. It was a really good sermon today, and I bet you're like, yes, you always say it's a very good sermon, but for real, it was. It was a good sermon today. We came from Psalm, first chapter, first to the third verse, and the title of the sermon was "Fresh Water from an Old Well." Great. See, I know I already got you. Really good sermon. So the beginning of the sermon started off basically talking about the new year and how we're in 2021, but there are some old things that carried over into 2021 that went with us into 2021. The most obvious thing that comes to mind is COVID. We are still battling with COVID. But he also broke it down to a simpler level how we also have dragged some things with us into 2021 for this new start, okay? For this fresh start. Get it? Fresh water, oh well. Anyway, so some of the things that really grabbed me and really made me think was when he was talking about starting fresh and letting go of old things. So this took me to this how often we want to keep those old things, right? But we want something new as far as results in our life. It could be, something simple as that we all can mostly relate to is like weight loss. Okay. So at the beginning of the year, everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to do this more. I'm going to do that more. But we haven't changed our habits. Okay. And so without that change in habit, there's no way to get the result that you want, that new result, that fresh result that you want, because you're still using those old things that you did before. One of my favorite shows is My 600 Pound Life. And anybody that's seen it, is he's like, look, you ain't getting this surgery until you stick to this diet that I have, which basically what he's saying is if you don't change your mind about food and how you view food and how much food you consume, then it won't do me any good to do surgery because you're going to be right back where you were. And he even goes as far as to try to figure out what their mental health issues are that are causing them to use food as their addiction. Okay. And so, he can't have any new results. And if you want a biblical example of this, you can also think about how in the Bible it says you can't use old skins for new wine. Okay. So think about that. So when you go into these new things that you want to do, you have to make up your mind, okay, what are you willing to sacrifice to have that new thing? God calls on us to let go of some things. Sometimes he calls on us to let go of old friendships. Maybe old ways, things that we enjoy doing, but that aren't necessarily what we should be doing or that are good for us to do if we want to have those new results that we want. And that's part of the battle. It's easy to say you want new things. And when I say new things, you want a different way of living, a different way of doing things. You want these different results. You may want financial stability. You may want a house, a new vehicle, whatever it is. But in order to do that, you have to sacrifice something. And order to get that, you can't continue those old habits that you had because it's not going to enable you to do these new things that you want to do. And that's just really one of the biggest struggles that we have as Christians, as humans, period. Wanting these different things out of life, but not really wanting to do what it takes to get to it. Not really wanting to let go of those old things, and a lot of times those old acquaintances. Sometimes we'll have friendships for a long period of time that we really love, but they may not be the most healthy friendships or interactions, or even your environment. It might be not good, and the word that is used most of the time now is toxic. You have to really think about that. When it comes to your mental health and your growth, as long as you continue, or we, when I say you, I mean me too, continue to hold on to those old things, old ways of thinking, old ways of doing things, then we're going to continue to have a fresh start, but with the old things still in it. Okay. A lot of times we don't think about that. I mean, if you have, um, what's the point of having a fresh start if you're going to continue to do those old things and feel like you did in the old ways? You know what I mean? And so I thought that was a really, really good sermon. Um, and I thought it was really good, how to tie that in with how the Lord sometimes does call us to be uncomfortable, to let go of things in order to follow Him, in order to grow in your Christianity, to widen your territory, for it's been some years back. Everybody was like, "Oh, I want my territory widened. I want you to widen my territory." And don't get me wrong, I was one of those people too. Because when you think of it in a worldly way. Widen my territory. Give me things. But widening your territory also means widening your knowledge, widening what is expected of you as a Christian, as a person, as a human being. That's what that means, widen your territory. And then that relates to much that is given, much is required. So when we are asking for these things that the Lord has for us, then there's more required. Okay, there's more required of you. If I ever got to where I was like, I just have to have a six-pack, there is much required to get a six-pack. Okay, or your stomach, there's sacrifice. And that's the way it is with God. There's much required. No, you can't. There is no amount of anything that you can do to pay off God. Okay, but in order to do things, and grow in certain ways, there will be sacrifice. You will have to sacrifice your time sometimes. You will have to sacrifice what you want to do versus what you got to do. Okay, in order to see that thing through, to see it manifest. A lot of times our blessings are right there, but we're not in the right spot to receive it. Okay, and when I say spot, I don't necessarily mean physically. It could be spiritually. We're not where we need to be in order to get that next level, that fresh, start. And so I really got a lot of things, and that's not necessarily what he preached, but that's what I got out of the sermon. And I hope that you guys got something out of it and it makes sense to you all, and that you're able to take it through your week and even to meditate on it. All right, you guys, that's all I got. Gotta go. Bye, y'all.